Hi, I'm Lucas.
I'm Sarah.
And we're excited to show you our unusual house here in Lynn Haven, Florida. So why don't we come inside? All right, well, welcome to our house. This house was built in 1957. I purchased it in 2011.
And so it is a bit of an older house, but really good bones, very solid structure. It is majority cinder block, but also kind of the interior was also a little bit outdated, and we're both creative types. I'm a writer. He'll kind of talk about his inspirations too, but we wanted a more creative space than that, so decided to make some changes.
Yeah, I grew up going to a lot of theme parks, being inspired by a lot of movies, Addams Family, Indiana Jones, things with a little bit more excitement, action, adventure. So I kind of wanted this house to kind of be a reflection of just having more creativity, more personality than what you're used to seeing in most homes today. So with that, we'll take a look at the first room. All right, so this is the master bedroom. This was the first room that I did after moving in. The previous owner, little old lady, so it was very grandma's house. So a lot of lacy frilly curtains, a lot of flower print wallpaper, and that just wasn't gonna fly with me. So the first thing I did was actually painted the room in these red and black stripes. I couldn't tell you what motivated me to do that. It was just kind of a random idea, just to do something a little different than anything else I've ever seen before. That was the easy part. The hard part was doing the ceiling. The ceiling all coming together in the center like that had to be taped off individually and painted with one paint shade at a time. But I did that with string, putting it to the end of the wall over to the ceiling fan, tracing the string, and then painting those with progressively smaller brushes as we went. I really like the ceiling fan here. The ceiling fan goes in opposite directions to kind of give you almost a vertigo kind of feeling. After Hurricane Michael in 2018, when we had the room cleared out, I took the time to actually paint the floor as well. It used to have a pink carpet in here for the longest time, but finally got sick of the pink carpet, took that up, painted the floor. Same way I did the ceiling, but with the polyurethane coating over the top of it. Another hidden feature that was added in was the bookcase door. So just as is, doesn't really seem like anything's there, but this actually opens up like so. All right, so behind here is a very old-fashioned kind of bathroom. We have a decorative ceiling. My brother actually did all the tile work for this bathroom. It was the second major project after I moved in. Hard to come by, but trying to find this high tank pull chain toilet actually does work. But yeah, those are hard to come by. Not a lot of those at Home Depot. When I first moved into this house, there were so many problems. The previous owner had this bathroom added on to the original house, so it was not part of the original construction, and it seemed to me like it was done as cheaply as possible. Almost like they took a bathroom out of a trailer. No offense to anyone that lives in trailers, it's just the walls were very flimsy. It had like ceiling tiles like you would find in an office, where you just kind of like move them out of the way. It had a single pull chain light bulb above the shower. It seemed like kind of an electrical hazard to me. So improving on that, adding a more decorative ceiling, kind of raising the ceiling height just a little bit from getting rid of the drop ceiling. So yeah, lots of improvements made in this overall. When this house was up for sale, one of the features that really got my attention is that it was actually listed with a disaster shelter. So I knew I had to come see this house in person. I did some work to make the disaster shelter a little bit more hidden. I grew up watching things like Addams Family, Beetlejuice, stuff like that, but I always liked the idea of having like hidden rooms. So behind the mirror here, if you kind of give it a nudge, it does actually open up. This disaster shelter was all fun and games on the listing, but we actually did use it during Hurricane Michael when trees started falling on the house. Just felt like it was safer than the rest of the house since it is pretty thick walls of poured concrete. This is the hallway that connects all the bedrooms together. The inspiration here was actually based off of a drunken conversation with a friend that, as a kid, they watched Labyrinth. And if anybody remembers the helping hand scene where Jennifer Connelly's character is kind of falling down this hole and is being grabbed by all these hands that like talk to her and stuff, wanted to kind of create that same kind of feeling, but instead of that many hands, I went with artificial vines with only a few hands kind of placed around. They have kind of a dirt paint job just to make them a little bit more unsettling, but I think it's a really neat effect to cover the entire ceiling and walls with all of that. This bathroom is where things get a little stranger. When I moved in, all the tile work was bright pink, and being a guy in my late 20s, that wasn't gonna work. So I thought a temporary solution would be to take leftover red paint from the bedroom and splash it everywhere, make it look like a bad night at the Bates Motel. I originally intended for that to be temporary, but I fell in love with it, so I kept it around. So the whole bathroom has just a horror vibe. Again, Bates Motel being the biggest inspiration, but just other horror movies I grew up with over the years. But I also have some friends in the bathtub here. This room here is for all of our collectibles. Way into Legos, so there's a lot of Lego pieces all over here. And this room is really a recreation of what I had at my parents' house before I moved out. But the floor is big green circuit boards. The ceiling is lots of AOL CDs. And the walls are soffit painted black to kind of give it a sci-fi, spaceship-y kind of feel with some vent covers up at the top of the border there. So this room here is the guest room. Probably the least ambitious room that I've done, but very colorful, kind of Eastern, kind of exotic kind of vibe to it. So I put some fabric going over the ceiling and down the walls. I made a PVC frame that kind of goes over the whole room, and painted that kind of a copper color. More recently, I have added the recess lighting. I've hand painted the closet door to kind of match the theme of the room. One of my other hobbies is cosplay. So more recently, I've gotten into a little bit of foam crafting. So I've done some foam armor pieces for myself, my wife Sarah, and my friend Chris. And this armor set here for my friend Chris was assembled probably in about a week and a half, so very quickly, but pretty happy with how it turned out. A lot of people joke about having a man cave. I decided I wanted an actual cave, so this room here was another major project with a lot of issues, but the previous owner enclosed their carport. They made it kind of like an art gallery, so it used to have carpet on the walls in addition to more drop ceilings with the ceiling tiles that needed to be replaced. But taking all that out, starting over, repairing a lot of termite damage and more rotting wood, things like that. I've coated the walls with a spray foam, and there's actually almost like a chicken wire behind it to kind of give it some shape and some form. So that's where you see on the walls where it kind of bubbles way out away from the walls. And then the ceiling has stalactites that are formed coming off of the ceiling there. More recently, I've also added tree roots. So the tree roots are made from sections of rope that get progressively smaller, and then the method they use to get that shape is actually spray foam, like with some rubber gloves, and you kind of rub it in there and then paint them kind of a dirty brown, kind of give it that dirt kind of texture, and then gluing those up to the top. So this room actually fared far worse than the rest of the house during Hurricane Michael. Not only was there a tree on this side of the house next to the phobia room, but this room lost its roof and ceiling. The ceiling actually fell into the room while the roof peeled off and flipped over the entire house and then planted into the ground on the opposite side. Pretty heartbreaking because this is another one of my top 3 favorite rooms in the whole house. But we built it twice. We built it better. The roof had been reinforced with the remodel. So yeah, I feel pretty confident that we've done a better job this time. So initially this kitchen was very plain, had plain white cabinets, just no sense of style. So after the hurricane, we finally had an opportunity to refresh it quite a bit. You know, painting the cabinets black, going for a more gothic kind of feel to it, Had this mirrored backsplash, all dark fixtures, dark stove, dark refrigerator. So just to kind of give the room, yeah, kind of a almost Addams Family kind of vibe to it. A lot of the cabinets I actually completed myself because the last cabinet guy didn't work out. It was somebody that my brother knew that, yeah, there was kind of a falling out there. So I ended up kind of taking the lead on that and doing a little bit of a DIY project and finishing out the cabinets. I call this room the phobia room. Represents common fears and phobias. This is probably in my top 3 favorite rooms in the house. This one was a massive project. Similar to the bookcase bathroom, this also had like an office style ceiling. Also had like a lot of termite damage and rotten wood from previous roof leaks over the years. A lot of electrical issues, things like that that need to be sorted out. So altogether, this room probably took about 7 months to renovate and repair. But as you can see, it kind of has a haunted mansion kind of vibe now. The wood panels in the ceiling were actually found within the walls, and I repurposed the ones that weren't damaged to kind of make a pattern along the entire ceiling here. But other than that, yeah, having to rebuild parts of the wall, so there's a new stud wall over here against the kitchen. This one did have some pretty significant hurricane damage where a tree fell on it, so I had to build it twice, but pretty happy with how it turned out overall. This is Sarah's office. This is where she works from home. Another big project room. This room used to be a sunroom when I moved in. For a while, this was kind of just a junk collecting room. Just like the other add-on rooms, had the office style ceiling tiles. It actually had an additional window over here that we took out to give us some more blank wall space. Something that we integrated was a lot of storage space. So we added in basically kitchen cabinets. But other than that, putting up the skull print wallpaper, another decorative ceiling. I'm personally pretty proud of myself for how precise the ceiling is. If you notice, the light fixtures are dead center of the ceiling tile. So really, measuring those out, make sure they're done correctly, and then putting wood trim in between each tile. So a lot of details in this room. The last room of the house is the castle room. So this was completed again after the hurricane. Another big project. These wall panels and the ceiling panels are actually a dense foam. They come in like a 2 foot by 4 foot panel that kind of overlaps, and you just glue them up. So the room has a lot of wood accents, not only around the windows and doors, but right here is actually a salvage from, I think it was a barn, but it's over 100 years old, but it's a big thick wood beam that kind of goes over this doorway here.
All right, so that's the tour. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, really happy to show off the house. It's been quite a journey from start to finish. I've been working on this house for over 10 years. Definitely been an ongoing passion project, but so glad to have you visit. So now it's time to get out. So please go.